Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Remember, it's Friday, and it's July, and it's still 2020, so that may, ring a little bit more deeply and darkly in your ears. But hey, it's going to be a good day. We're going to be thankful for it as we invite you to call and share your thoughts. There's a perfect schedule for 3 o'clock. Hey, so we'll get that to you as well. Please stay tuned for Talk Today.
While saving lives today.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email Talk Today at candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255.
Courtesy of Flow.
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us. And a special thanks to all the excellent team we have over at Radio Cayman. As many callers have shared publicly and privately, let me add my great appreciation to all the work that goes on. You see your excellent news team right there, front and center, and you get a chance to enjoy the on-air talent every day and every night. And whether we were working remotely or whether they're breathing, before and working straight in the studio, thanks very much. Remember now, as we go into the weekend, join JJ Diceman come Sunday evening as you really, lighten up the weekend for us. Well, what's on your mind? What is important to you? Always interested in hearing from each of us as to what we're going, 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. You can share with us what you're either most concerned about, even the things that you've been very, very thankful for. Sort of the midpoint in this month, midpoint in this year. Many of us have joked and jested and said, we're not going to record this year on a birthday, so if we're celebrating 50, come next year we'll celebrate 50 again because this is a do-over. Well, if it was only like that, huh? Well, I had a chance to listen to, I guess, a debate of sorts, not necessarily what it was intended to be, but an exchange of ideas. And maybe it would have been better if it was a town hall style where people were assembled and the like. But being sort of virtually comprised of people with different mindset, different life experiences, and in different geographical areas, perhaps it's good to be able to leverage technology in that way. But some were sharing on one hand as we move forward, as the economies globally sort of emerge from this quagmire that we're in, will there be familiar businesses that are no longer around? Not unlike financial crises in the past, but in this instance, the financial consequences are not of the mismanagement or other sort of financial woes that befall the economy. But as one of the proponents was sharing, it's the, either behavior or, as he put it, the misbehavior of governments, politicians, and political pundits. And the impact being that the consequences of this thing that everybody's experiencing everywhere isn't a health emergence as much as a societal, social, economic costs brought on because of misguided approaches or misinformation and the like. On the other side of the coin, the later counter that it is perhaps the responsiveness of some people and perhaps the irresponsible actions of others that may dictate what we encounter. And as I listened, those of us who were invited to participate, well, we could listen, could pose questions, but the chances are organization would probably not get any, response or any major traction at all, given the numbers participating. But it was good to be able to, be in a setting. For some, would have been preferable if you were assembled in the same room. But nonetheless, the electronic sort of forum meetings that we engage now are becoming beneficial in many respects, because you can get a chance to engage across multiple time zones with people who otherwise would not be able to be available to contribute. Now, I may share some other things. I don't think it was proprietary. I don't think it was anything sensitive or anything that we had to sign in order to say we couldn't take away what we heard, learned, or we have inspired by what was shared. But as you go through in the last few months, as you think of what the line ahead potentially, would you share with us, what you're looking at? The idea of a friend who shared months ago that the country, could have taken the leadership, and if they were visionary in their approach, such vision could have caused them to say to the people who live here, who reside part-time, and others, that it would be a good place, just like it is to invest and make a healthy return. Good place to transact your business as a financial center, just as it's a great place to vacation, the safety, the serenity, the security, the stability, economically, politically, as well as socially. Then could we not have months ago reached out, as probably we might going forward, to not just attract but reassure people who come, as well as those with whom they'll interact, is that we have good protocols in place, that the safety of the individual, their personal safety, their health concerns will be addressed and move forward. Now, will that be something that may come to pass in short order? Or will it be that as a populace we become, perhaps despondent because of certain things that either have transpired or we've been, ignoring to date? Well, your thoughts, 949-8037. And then after that sort of discussion, got a chance to, have a much more locally sort of based discussion again. This time, because of the way our lives have become immediately, back to what they were, and even probably more hectic. There were a few people, some of whom did not necessarily want to use the video capability, and others were only too happy to do so. We were talking of the nature of the charitable gestures that were unfolding and the sense of community. Only now to see that some of those charities, whether it was food or clothing or financial assistance or housing or some other sort of very tangible, timely, meaningful benefits, are they continuing now that the economy is starting to roll again and people are getting back to some semblance of employment? And one lady was questioning as she sort of signed into the discussion that are these charitable endeavors done from compassion, or are they about a personal ambition? Are they being positioned because the people are seeing it not as a philanthropic measure, but as a more of a profitable, quote unquote? And with the funds that perhaps are being raised or received, whether this is to provide food, are they going to be recognizing that there's still many in our communities who still, if not more than ever now, are in need of not just the financial assistance, and not only from whatever government coffers can afford, but healthy, hot meal, if there's only one for the day. And she relayed that as a member within her community, volunteering in many capacities. She recognized how increasingly there seem to be so many of us, for different reasons, are unable, now more than ever, in the last few weeks, couple of weeks, she said, as opposed to the last 2 months, now, only now, she said that they are in dire need, but seemingly we're not emphasizing that. And when someone asks the question, well, why is that? I think some of the answers were quite alarming in a sense that in one instance, here is thankfully a relatively healthy, mobile Caymanian fellow who, because of his age of birth, would have moved into the area of a senior citizen, and because of that, isn't necessarily able to gain sort of permanent employment and finding employment, difficult to come by. But at the end of the day, it's how do we get to a point where our own people are not facing this level of discrimination and disenfranchisement? Well, you give us an opinion. Give us, what you think from your perspective. We'll pause shortly and take a quick break. When we come back, we want to invite you to call and share your thoughts. 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. And perhaps inspire, challenge, perhaps say something that may intrigue others. Stay tuned. We'll talk today.
Green Turtle. Modern solutions to get you through the new normal. Download the Green Turtle app now and top up yours or a loved one's phone with any mobile carrier in any destination. Home delivery of laptops, tablets, phones, accessories, and iTunes and major online retailer gift cards. And now, home deliveries of groceries and courier service. Guaranteed delivery within 2 hours from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Visit their list of products at greenturtle.ky or download the Green Turtle app today. Green Turtle is not only the future of mobile, but today it can help save a life. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app, the future of mobile, saving lives today.
You've spent a lot of time with your kitchen appliances lately. Did you realize just how old or out of date they really are? If you're thinking of upgrading or replacing your old kitchen appliances, there is only one place to go. Brand Source Home Gallery. They're having a 15% off sale on GE appliances this month. That's right, save 15% off on all GE appliances now through the end of July. You will love the savings and the look of your fresh new appliances from Brand Source Home Gallery in Industrial Park on Dorsey Drive. Call 623-5000 for more information.
We are now in the hurricane season, and to survive a hurricane, you need to be informed. If you have been informed by official sources that a hurricane is approaching the Cayman Islands, and you live in a low-lying area that is prone to flooding or near the beaches, which may be swept by high tides or storm waves, please seek a safe place and high ground. If the only way for you to get to a safe place is a road that is also likely to be flooded during a storm, please leave home early. Don't run the risk of being stranded. This has been a public service announcement from your community station, Radio Cayman.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thank you for joining us. And thanks again for all that you're doing, continue to do, and even not just the comments and the critique, not just the commentary and the questions, but the notion that you're contributing. And when you think of the idea that sometimes you have the potluck, everybody bringing something makes it that much better. If it's a coordinated potluck, and the person who's asked to bring ice, you may feel, I bring in ice. They don't think I can cook. They don't think, with the ice you can keep the things that you want to put on ice, and preserve them so that it can last the day. Whether it's the salads and the like, whether it's the waters and the drinks that you want to chill. But maybe it's the cutlery, not the ice. Maybe it's the napkins, or maybe it's one of the main courses. Everybody has a role to play, and everybody wants a coordinated effort done with a sense of love. The whole environment is that much better. It doesn't matter if it's all rice or all beans and nothing more than maybe some bread, but it's brought with love and prepared with love, and then you assemble in love. it can be a wonderful, loving time. Well, I should have to ask then, on sort of my way back to my makeshift desk, must share working remotely has its advantages in some respects, but for many that can do it and welcome it, it can be more taxing, or certainly more challenging. But I should have fielded a call. I'd received earlier and returned the call, and the gentleman wanted to talk briefly. Presumably he was having sort of a discussion, and he was hoping to see whether his organization now going forward could transition where his employees no longer have to sort of be based, within the office. Is there a way to, at some point, maybe either reduce the size of the office, perhaps even, get rid of the physical office itself, having the place to store the company's equipment and tools and the like, but maybe no longer have that overhead, not only to weather any potential financial pitfalls that may lie ahead, by reducing overhead costs, making the business perhaps more profitable, perhaps increasing its chances to survive. As he shared, we don't know what may happen in a year or two from now, or even, sadly, before the year is out. And he was sharing that when we first sort of thought of the idea, how can these workers work remotely? We all have cell phones and internet connectivity. We all are up and down, but there needs to be a home base, as it were. Well, he found two things. When his last child went off to school, they were able to communicate not only more cheaply, than being on an island, having a cell phone, and the other having a cell phone, you call and the cell phone bill is higher, but it's much cheaper now to communicate, 5,000 miles away or 5 time zones or whatever it is that she's on, but they can communicate more frequently, and they do. And he shared that because now his employees are communicating with each other more, and the whole team is sort of working, collaborating more. Now, is it a novel approach of being able to pick up the phone and call your coworker and say, okay, I'm working on this. How does this work? There's a video image of what I'm trying to install or the like. Now, interesting. What do you think about that idea? And it's one of those interesting sort of discussions where you don't necessarily appreciate at that particular time how these scenarios, unplanned as they were, unsettling and disruptive as they are, could lead to very, very positive outcomes if you can start to manage expectations as he shared. Now, he did say that for some customers, his business still requires a physical presence, not just for payment, not just for them to come in, interact, and engage, but it's the expectation, it's the convenience, it is the custom that they have. But for others, here's a request for service, and then it's done. Well, here's the electronic means of payment. And what do you think the transformation has done for our economy, from education to the provision of other services, to the supply and delivery of physical goods, to the potential for employees to find a healthier balance between work and the other parts of their lives? Do you think for you, as I know some in the financial services sector in particular have shared, it's not a large number, but a few of them have said that they have found that while they're at home, they feel, in their own minds that they're expected now to do more in less time and equally, to be available all the time. Yet there are others who have shared that they say that they have, quickly found that the time, is much more beneficial, because as they, get up and start their day, they're able to look at, a greatest sense of appreciation of what helps them. Now, the final point the gentleman relayed was that the amount of time that his workers have reported, being on the road, and what customers sometimes have relayed, as he was just sort of recalling, nothing definitive, more just, I remember this caller saying that the worker took, an hour to get to me as opposed to really should have only been 15 minutes. And the employees normally saying, well, to get into the office, it was taking an hour and a half. Could that time have been spent going in another direction to start work, as opposed to coming into work and then going to start work? But I've already been on the job, for an hour or so. Now, is that because we are looking at our roads and our congested roads and the utilization of our roads in such a way that we have a lot of traffic all the time or at peak times that are not necessarily productive? In his sort of passing comment, he said, is there a way we as a people could look at that and find a way to improve it without it breaking the bank? It's a phrase he used, in that he shared governments. And he wasn't just saying that this government, in terms of the Cayman Islands government, not necessarily the one that is elected now or the one that was elected before or the one that may be elected thereafter. But he said governments seem to, when it comes to infrastructure development, believe that the more they spend, that's better. And it probably is, when you think about it, put more money in the economy, but the fact that they build more roads, it's better. Perhaps it is. You'll get a chance to open up more land for development and the like. But as he was asking, is there a way to develop our infrastructure in such a way to get more people to where they need to go in a safer, faster, more cost-effective way? But equally, is it a way to reduce the number of people who are driving and reduce the number of sort of congestion points and reduce the overall traffic congestion that we have? Now, it's a topic that has been discussed for a long time. Some would probably have been intimately involved with the Master Ground Transportation Plan. Would that be probably 30 years ago now, maybe? Others may have even been aware of other attempts prior to that and since. Some may even know of things that succeeded or, failed miserably in other jurisdictions. Are there things that we have now? 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. Got a quick WhatsApp that came through. I'm going to try to see if I can access the link that was sent, because the text of what was shared said, this would be something good to look at if I can, and then I'll share it with us. But we want to hear from you. I just test to see that the phone lines are up and running. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
At Seaboard Marine, customers often ask us questions about their shipments.
Hi, I'm thinking of buying a car from the States. Which port do you ship out of?
Hi, we ship out of Miami, Houston, and Brooklyn. Just let us know your port of choice and we can provide you with a quotation and answer any questions you may have on ensuring and protecting your vehicle during its journey.
Shipping shore to shore, Seaboard.
Fidelity Bank would like to thank all essential workers. We salute your efforts and thank you for the sacrifices you've made to keep us all safe. During these challenging times we're facing, our top priority is the health and safety of the communities we serve. And while it's true that things are changing rapidly every day, one thing that will never change is our commitment to giving you the financial solutions to help you during and after the coronavirus pandemic. At Fidelity Bank, our focus will always be you. Fidelity, we're good for you.
Have you heard the news? Get excited! King Sports Center is reopening on Saturday, July 4th for bowling and skating, Monday, July 6th for the Powerhouse Gym, and July 19th for sports programs. King Sports Center offers a complete health and recreational environment for the only sports and recreational facility of its kind in the Cayman Islands. A full list of all safety precautions is listed at www.kingsportscenter.com. For more information, call 946-5464. Email kings@candw.ky. King Sports Center, providing you with all your fitness, recreation, and relaxation needs.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us. It is open line, and some days like today, it's just a wonderful rainy day. Other days, despite the rain or whether the blaze and sunshine, we still got to get up and go, and thankfully we can. Not only do we have a job to go to, but the health to do it. So, in that spirit of thankfulness and the like, well, maybe as we look at it, and as we vent and share our frustrations at any and everything, and even at each other, well, I'll be more than happy to listen. Can't promise you that it'll be of any great value, the advice or counsel or the input that may be offered, but certainly it's a willing ear if you want to bend. 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. If you can access the Flow toll-free line, then give us a shout on 949-8037. Now, we also, just as we shared as we were going to the break, I got a message, and it was a link to something someone had posted somewhere, and then some pictures came through subsequently. The listener is asking that we highlight this, given that one, we may not necessarily have any great numbers of tourists, quote unquote, as he sort of put it in quotation marks here, but we are all residents and users of the beaches and the lake. And as I messaged the listener, again, it's not in my contact, so I don't know that I know the individual, but that's not, I think, important. The fact is, the person sends through something and wants it shared, well, we should do that. Said, this is something that we had highlighted before, and very, very grateful that they think it's important to at least share it as well, because it, at the very least, indicates that other people have thought of it as well. It's I call them barricades. Now, there may be a better word for them. Those of you who understand traffic flow and know about road engineering, may see that as an actual term for it. But those plastic-looking metal sticks that have been placed in certain places along the main road that now prevent you from pulling off on the side of the road. And presumably there are a couple more out and about, and it's affecting, as you said, the ability to pull off safely where they are. But the ones that he's highlighted have been in front of some of the condos along, the Westbay Road and near some of the beach accesses, and seemingly, he's trying to figure out, well, is this something that's been done by private individuals, the condo owners, for instance? Is it done by the government through the roads authority? Is it done by the police, the fire, or other agencies? I respectfully don't have the answer. I did not even inquire as to ask. His point, though, that really sort of sparked the little exchange during the break is that, if these things go down by private individuals, are they even questioned by authorities? If they're done by, their authorities, is there any sort of public communication that this is going to be done? Now, may not be important, may not be, the most important if it is important. But again, his point being that here we have these things and they impede access. If they hinder, what otherwise should be more, sort of free movement for people getting to and from beaches or traversing public thoroughfares. Was the phrase he attached in his message to us. Then are we concerned about safety of the passers-by, as well as this notion that maybe acts that are probably not necessarily illegal, but are they in fact, illegally to do? Well, what are your thoughts on how they affect you? Let's go to the phones. Good afternoon and welcome. Thanks for calling. How are you today? Very well. I know I'm just having a little struggle hearing you. Don't know if it's my phone or what have you. So I will listen intently.
Is this better?
It is, yes. Thank you.
Thank you too, man. I was going to call you yesterday. I was just listening on some of the topics that you had yesterday, and I think it was relevant to something you had read or shared in terms of someone's idea about the virus and stuff. But I left it alone. But I am calling today in ref. I had a lot going through my mind, and some of it wasn't exactly pleasant, but I was like, are you serious? We have them here too. But anyway, so it goes. To each their own, and that's where we're at. So that's where I left it. But I just decided to chime in on just what you raised there, relevant to that caller. I heard you, or relevant to the message that someone had sent you. I heard you read that or highlight that some time ago. I just happened to hear it, and like most people, I was a little perturbed when I heard it. I was like, "Are you serious?" So I took my time to actually I lived that way. So you tend to not see things until somebody pointed. Right. So I did drive. As I was driving home, I looked at them. I must tell you, what crossed my mind though is that it might not. There may be a reason for them, and the reason that comes to mind just based on where I see them strategically have placed them. It seems to be at the entrance and exits of some of these places versus the entire length of place. And I think that's more from a safety perspective, because like if you have people coming out of those condos on the exits and you have a string of cars parked to the left and to the right, you can't see where the cars are coming out from the left or right. I mean, it makes sense to me, and there's nothing more frustrating. I don't know if you've ever pulled out of Northwest Point, for example, and then maybe that would be a great place for some of those cones, if anybody from the National Roads Authority is listening, because if you come out of Northwest Point to the junction of Northwest Point and Town Hall Road, and you want to turn right towards the four-way stopway, and if there are vehicles that are parked right up next to that almond tree that's literally at the corner of Northwest Point, I don't know if you're familiar with what I'm talking about, right?
Very much so.
There's an almond tree, and then usually there's a string of cars, sometimes if it's very crowded, that parks flush to that almond tree all the way to the bathroom. Well, you can't really see if there are cars coming from the four-way stop unless you get quarter of the way out in the road. And so, if the people coming out of those condo complexes are experiencing similar things where, it's one thing for you and I to live here and are very familiar, one, about where the traffic is coming from to start with, never mind you struggle to try to see if a car is coming. You can imagine visitors coming out of there, the real challenge they must have trying to maneuver out, going left or right if cars are parked flush to their driveway. So from what I have observed, I have seen the cones starting right at the entrance and exits, and it goes, at least 2-3 car lengths, and then they stop. I don't see it like on the entire shoulder of the road. So if that's why they did it, it makes sense. Now, maybe I see the point, though, about impeding having to pull off. There's other parts. Like I said, it's only like 2 or 3 car lengths. Maybe what they can do is approach the National Roads Authority, if that's the reason why they did it now, to think about maybe putting some yellow lines that are, 2-3 car lengths down, and I don't know whether we'd have to amend the road law or whatever.
Right.
You can't park in 60 feet at the entrance or exits of places, so that it doesn't impede people being able to view. That's one way that we could get rid of the cones, because then it would be a traffic offense if you parked on that particular thing. And I can see why people are having it, because we've already been impeded on so much in Cayman anyway. So I can see why Caymanians are a little perturbed about seeing cones down there on the side of the road.
Well, I must say that when I raised it some time back, and thanks for reminding me, I rarely go that way now unless I am going that way specifically, right, because of it's more convenient to just stay straight, as it were, right?
Yeah.
And when it was brought to my attention, I thought I had driven that way, it seemed like yesterday, but probably turned out that it was, months and months before.
Yeah.
And apparently at that point in time, it hadn't been up very long or wasn't noticed by the individual. But I did go back, just like you said, to look at it because it was brought to your attention. And I looked at it with someone, and they said, if you look over the discussions about beach accesses where they're placed, now it's that there's one there, there's one further south after you pass the beach, and I raised just the same question. Well, maybe this helps. Maybe it's put down by the authorities to help with the safety of people, coming out of the buildings, right? And the fellow even said, well, if you look at it closely, there's fairly good visibility in both of them. But if you were to do that for this one, why not do it for all of them? Because there's some that are closer to corners than these particular ones, right?
Oh, okay.
And the allegation being,
Yes, sorry. Like I said, the ones that I noticed is just really being the ones by the Avalon and stuff, and by Christopher Columbus and them, and they were, they were the ones that I thought were at the entrance and exits of places doing. I don't know if there's been in a sense. Like I said, I observed this pretty much along the first time that you had raised it, bro, and hadn't really looked at it too much since then. But so I don't know if there's been more added, is what I'm saying.
Exactly. No, I hear you, man. And I asked for forgiveness. I didn't know they were there, partly because, one, I didn't travel that road often, and when I did, I probably didn't notice it. I wasn't looking for it necessarily. But when someone pointed it out, then I went back and I had someone with me, and they said, well, it really doesn't, do much, in terms of safety to make people in and out of some of the places. But if you were to put them here, why not put them here? Why not put them here? Why not block the whole thing? And then you'd have even
then you wouldn't be able to pull off. Maybe it's more of a maybe I'm hearing you. Maybe it's more of a let's think about it though. Those places that have them, and I'm trying to be honest and stay here.
Exactly.
Those places that have, and by the way, I'm old school. I only drive the old road. I don't really like the new one too much.
Yeah, but when you come down, you gotta go left. I gotta go right.
That's true. Yeah, I know what you're saying. You go towards the Pleasant area, Mount Pleasant. All right, but but those places doing on the lower end of West Bay Road, all those condos, don't really have. They have much more room for drivers to be able to pull off on the side of the road versus some of the condos that are on the upper end, on the southern end of 7 Mile Beach. So you're, West and Rich going up, opposite Wendy's and all them. Those places you have the sidewalk and very little room for any cars to park. So the natural flow of the road almost impedes having to put anything else, because if you were to pull off on the side of the road on most of those places, you're already halfway in the road, so it naturally restricts it, so to speak. But I hear the point. I mean, if you can put them one place, you put them in another place. But it must be very difficult, just using my experience and example of pulling out in Northwest Point and seeing what it's like when those cars are there. It must be very difficult.
Maybe ask of you, and for that discussion, we took a drive along West Bay Road, and
sorry, Dwayne, could you repeat that, because you were a little bit muffled there for a second, but you don't mind?
I'm finding it even in my headset that I'm like, wait a minute, this is not how I normally sound. But anyway, is this better?
Go ahead, man. I'm listening to you. I was walking too, so go ahead, bro.
No. I thank you for that. It's we're using a different connection today while we improve the one. It's coming by the Brembo, apparently. It's normally going to give me, a demerit or something. Anyway, it's raining. I got to have some fun. The day is dark and cloudy. But we took a drive along West Bay Road, and the group with me was saying that if you look at two things. One, we've now reduced, for the most part, 25 miles an hour. That's the speed limit now. And provided we're smart about it and safe and considerate, that's a safe speed to drive to get where we're going to go, and should be better for pedestrians, crossing the road and walking and riding and the like. And instead of having the road, where you pull parallel to the road to park, if we pulled in on an angle, he called it something else, but I just say, okay, this is angle parking. Kind of like what you see in other parts
of Europe or some other places. Yeah, they tend to do it heavily in Europe.
Yeah. He said that would increase not only the number of cars that could park, but it would actually improve the safety, right? Even if you had to back out slightly onto the road. But given that it's now a slow-moving road, a very highly populated, developed area, you shouldn't have that issue that, people pulling off. And now the question is,
mightn't be too much of a bad idea. It would not. Hello, ma'am. It would naturally mean, perhaps in those areas, to get rid of the center lane, which I didn't think would, because you would take up some of the road with some of it sticking out, but then taking out the center lane could create its own issues as well from a turning standpoint, which is, if you remember, it used to be an issue where a car turned and then everybody else behind them had to wait on you. So one issue almost creates the other one, but it mightn't be a bad idea. I mean, to look at it, especially on that northern end that we're talking about, where there is a little bit more room for people to be able to pull off. You know what I mean? Dwayne, that's all I wanted to say now, though, because I got to run, Bo.
Bo, thank you. And I got to listen in if you can. I got a suggestion that was put to me about the entrance and exit from Northwest Point Road to,
Yeah, man. It's a nightmare for people coming out of there when it's really crowded.
Okay, well, I'll reference it after the break. But thank you for...
Thanks so much.
All the best.
Thanks. Okay, you too.
All right. Thanks. Well, with that, the gentleman is timely. We're going to pause and take a break and hit the headline news. Remember, the briefing is coming up at 3. The Deputy Premier is supposed to be in attendance. Well, 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. Give us a shout. Stay tuned. Talk today.
Today's biggest news.
Radio K-Man.
It's only 2 species that we have here on the island.
Your voice, your choice.
It is in the best interest of the people of these islands.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio K-Man's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. As of yesterday, Dr. John Lee reports 117 COVID-19 tests have been carried out since it was last reported on Wednesday, July 15th. All were negative. A total of 203 people have tested positive for coronavirus out of 27,323 tests in the Cayman Islands. Of those, 200 have recovered, with one fatal case of COVID of an Italian tourist visiting on a cruise ship. In international news, British Airways has said it will retire all of its Boeing 747s as it suffers from the sharp travel downturn. The UK airline is the world's largest operator of the jumbo jets, with 31 in the fleet. Airlines across the world have been hit hard by coronavirus-related travel restrictions. England's Princess Beatrice has married property tycoon Edoardo Mapelli-Mozzi at a private ceremony in Windsor. The wedding took place this Friday morning at the Royal Chapel of All Saints at Royal Lodge. It was attended by the Queen and the Duke of Edinburgh, along with other close relatives. Netflix has seen a surge in sign-ups due to the coronavirus lockdown, but has warned investors that subscriber growth will slow. The streaming giant added more than 10 million subscribers in the 3 months to July, bringing the total of new subscribers to 26 million in 2020. In contrast, Netflix saw 28 million new subscribers for the whole of 2019. Those are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio K-Man on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio K-Man app or log on to our website, radiokman.gov.ky.
Your voice, your choice, your radio.
Green Turtle, modern solutions to get you through the new normal. Download the Green Turtle app now and top up yours or a loved one's phone with any mobile carrier in any destination. Home delivery of laptops, tablets, phones, accessories, and iTunes and major online retailer gift cards. And now, home deliveries of groceries and courier service. Guaranteed delivery within 2 hours from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Visit their list of products at greenturtle.ky or download the Green Turtle app today. Green Turtle is not only the future of mobile, but today it can help save a life. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app, the future of mobile, saving lives today.
You've spent a lot of time with your kitchen appliances lately. Did you realize just how old or out of date they really are? If you're thinking of upgrading or replacing your old kitchen appliances, there is only one place to go: Brand Source Home Gallery. They're having a 15% off sale on GE appliances this month. That's right, save 15% off on all GE appliances now through the end of July. You will love the savings and the look of your fresh new appliances from Brand Source Home Gallery in Industrial Park on Dorsey Drive. Call 623-5000 for more information.
Hey, hun, what you doing?
Putting things away in the shed since it's hurricane season. You know, preparing for the better.
Don't you mean preparing for the worst?
No, for the better. Since we have BritK Insurance, we're fully covered against hurricanes. Plus, they have response teams ready to help us file a claim faster. If I were preparing for the worst, I'd watch football all day.
Still don't get it.
Isn't there a match on?
Oh, really?
Let BritK prepare you for the better this hurricane season. Call 949-8699 or visit britk.ky.
Hi, this is Danny Coleman, Director of Hazard Management Cayman Islands. We are now in the hurricane season, and for information on how to prepare and stay safe, please visit our website, www.caymanprepared.ky. Some top tips to bear in mind, given that we are still in the midst of COVID-19. Please make sure you have a mask and sanitizer, you have food supplies to last for 3 to 5 days, a portable radio, personal hygiene and sanitation items, and medical supplies, and any other specific items your family may need during a hurricane. Make sure you know where you will shelter in the event of a storm. If you have pets, please make sure provisions are in place for them too, as the majority of shelters will not take pets. Please visit our website for more tips and tricks on www.caymanprepared.ky or call us on 945-4624. Stay safe, Cayman.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. And enjoy some open line, at least till 1:30 or thereabouts. Or maybe you say it's 1:30. I don't know. Depends on where you come from. Maybe have it a different way. 949-8837 or toll free with a complimentary flow at 1-800-534-TALK. Let's go to the phones. Good afternoon and welcome. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, good afternoon, Dean. How are you doing?
Hey, how are you today, my friend?
Not bad, not bad. What's the topic today?
Boy, you know, we could talk about political upheaval and the need for new governance. We could talk about how to bake the best brownies. It's open line, man. We can talk about anything you want to talk about.
Political upheaval would take the next 10 years. Dwayne, two things quickly. I just tuned into your show, so I heard a gentleman there from West Bay speaking. I think he was speaking something about.
Okay, I lose you. Speaking to me about what? Is it me or is it you? I lost it then.
Dwayne, you can hear me better now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. The gentleman from West was speaking about the cones that was along West Bay Road in front of some of the condominiums.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes.
Right, which I think is totally wrong. I see his point coming out of Northwest Point, going on to Town Hall Road to, go towards the four-way, there by the West Bay Public Beach. Sometimes the cars are parked up there, and it is a bit challenging to see oncoming traffic from that area because you're actually coming out to a junction and you're turning right or left, so you're going to have to look both ways, really, but you're going to definitely have to look to the right to see the oncoming traffic. I can totally get that something need to be remedied there. You had to set back the pavement a little bit deeper in so the cars can be further off the road and see, because you actually need some parking there because it's a public beach, right? So you can have to provide some sort of parking but set it back in where it's not impeding the vision of those motorists who are coming from the Northwest Point area. I totally agree with that. But when you look further up West Bay Road, like, is it not a Pinnacle? It's the Great House or one of those places where the beach access is right there.
Yeah.
And you see all those cones.
Uh-huh.
What my true opinion on that is that there's nothing to do with the traffic flow or impeding the vision of their customers coming out of their establishment, because when the customers come out of their establishment, they're looking to the left and right, obviously, but to the left would be where the cars would be parked. So the traffic is coming from their right-hand direction, so it's not blinding them in any shape or form. What I think is really happening here is that the owners of those establishments doesn't want the public behind their properties on the beach there. So what they're doing is a roundabout way of deterring you by saying you don't have anywhere to park, so you're not more than likely going to stop coming to that area. And that's why the cones are there. I think it's totally wrong. I think that the furthest end of those establishments own is to their wall. From the sidewalk right on out to the road is public property, to the best of my knowledge. So who gives them or what gives them the right and power to put down those cones? I don't know. I can see by the entrances and exits, if you put your lines a certain distance away, that anybody ticket, if you park there, you'd be ticketed, but it would prevent you from impeding the vision of the motorists who are leaving those establishments, right? That can be worked that way. But so what is happening now, it's a trend by the condominium owners, because it's first started somewhere there in the Great House area, and then I see it further down the road by, I think it's Christopher Columbus or one of those places. So it's going to be all along the West Bay stretch after a while. Another thing that needs to be taken up by the Parks, Beaches, and Cemeteries unit is the overgrown accesses, beach accesses that are demarcated with the public access signs. There are some up there by Laguna Del Mar. They actually have sisal growing in them. There are several areas I think that need to be cleared and cut back properly, because the public needs to be able to access the beach. I mean, living on an island and can't access the beach is, totally unheard of, especially here in Cayman. That's where we born and grow, So I don't agree with that. I see another issue developing. Dwayne, can you hear me?
Very much so, sir. I'm just trying to listen to you and tell you interrupting you.
Okay.
Thank you.
It kind of went quiet, so I wasn't sure.
Yeah. I was trying to follow instructions, man.
No problem. Another thing I see starting to fester is sometimes I go walking towards the Turtle Farm area, right in front of Dolphin Discovery. They're letting the hedge grow out into the sidewalk, and it's like halfway out in the sidewalk now. So I think that needs to be cut back immediately. I don't know, why people aren't noticing it, those that are responsible for it, but it's like about 3 feet over into the sidewalk almost now. So that definitely needs to be cut back, because that's another way that people are deterring people from using certain things. But one of the most pressing things I call you for, Dwayne, I think last week sometime I heard you talking about public buildings being painted different colors or something. How did that conversation go?
Yeah, I had, I want to say 4, but I can recall 3. So 3 people almost in succession called talking about the colors of some of the public buildings. In confession, 2 of them I know were West Bayers. I don't think I'm disrespecting them or speaking out of confidence. And the West Bay police station is being renovated or something. And one of them said, in a very, very direct but deliberate manner, to say that the colors are horrible, right? And so now we go back to like what we did with the West Bay Town Hall. Is try to make it more in keeping with the neutral tones or the pastel tones. More pleasing, aesthetically pleasing, appeal as opposed to the offensive colors, as she put it. And then she pointed to other buildings. Yeah.
You broke up there. You made reference to the West Bay Town Hall. You said something about the West Bay Town Hall?
Yeah, and her view was that, even though in Cayman we tended to use more of the pastels, was I think the word she used in referring to the colors and the neutral tones or whatever, and like the West Bay Town Hall, even though it went from white to I call it green or maybe another color, but even that's okay. But the town hall or the police station in West Bay and then in some of the other districts, offensive colors as she described them. So one of the individuals questioned whether there's some sort of protocol or some sort of approval process that the government buildings should at least look uniform, look in keeping as opposed to what it is. And sadly, that's not the first time I've heard people reference the colors of the police stations in particular. Some with other less favorable comments, but now that it's being renovated, is it an opportune time to put it more appealing, aesthetically pleasing color?
Dwayne, I agree and disagree.
Okay.
Here's why I agree. I think we shouldn't have any horrible colors on public buildings. I think the West Bay Town Hall was built in 1932, I think, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. And I think the Georgetown Town Hall was like in 1919. And they've been white, to the best of my knowledge, ever since being built. Quite recently. Like, love me or hate me, it don't really matter to me.
Yeah.
But I think the West Bay Town Hall was just a political stance to turn that into green. That's the most horrible color and the most horrible green I've ever seen. That should remain white. That's a government building turned into the library now. That should just remain white forever. I think there should be some uniformity on historical buildings and government buildings to remain that white neutral color. I think, just imagine the PPM is in power for the last 2 terms. So suppose they felt like painting all the government buildings red. How hideous and horrible that would look, right? Because that's their color, that's their party color, and the party color for the UDP. I think that was all political. There wasn't in my opinion, no true reason to paint the town hall green or any other color except white. The West Bay Police Station, I'm hoping that it has a beautiful color. Maybe since it's a building that serves the public, maybe that's a good survey for them to have to say, well, even by radio or by internet or however you want to do it, what would you recommend as a color for your district's police station? Something to this. So I get some public input, give the public some involvement or some sort of get some feedback from the public to have them feel like part of the community. But we speak about gangs, right? Gangs have colors. In the United States, you have some serious gangs, like the Bloods and the Crips, and they're red and they're blues. Cayman have their gangs too. The greens and the reds, and the purples and the other colors. Is all symbolizing an association by a color. I think really and truly, any of the public buildings that are white should remain in their white color. I think the West Bay Town Hall should be put back to white. But that's actually a hideous color of green. I don't know who sees beauty in that, but I personally don't see any beauty in that. It's all a political stance for me. From my opinion, to see the building change to that color. Others may disagree, and they have the right to, because we still live in a democracy.
Right.
What I would recommend, going back to the beach accesses and the parking alongside of certain establishments on the road. I mean, really, how much more could we take it away from the Cayman people? I mean, we can't access the beach as we normally once did. Now we can't park on the edge of the highway as we normally once done. I mean, so who was really looking out for the Cayman people? What are they really, really doing to protect the public's interests? That's the first question we should be asking ourselves. We need to demand more of them who are in authority to make the right decision. decisions. Call them out, and they shouldn't. Their skin should be thick enough to realize that they shouldn't take offense to being called out, whomever they are, because that's why they put themselves in that position to be scrutinized and spoken to as well.
Mm-hmm.
And if you leave that trend to go on, that will have some negative connotation. We need us to open our eyes and see what is going on around us. But a lot of us, unfortunately, are still sleeping. And usually when a lot of people come awake or semi-awake is when they're jingling the little change cup. Come every 4 years. So that's that situation. They don't want real change. They just want little change.
Yeah. All right, man. I appreciate your thoughts, all right?
Dwayne, you have a good weekend, my brother.
You too. Enjoy the rain. Be safe out there.
Yeah.
All right. Blessings. And with that, let's go to the phones and welcome our other callers. Good afternoon. Thank you for calling.
Hello, sir. Good afternoon.
Hey. All is well.
Good afternoon. About 4 months ago, I called in Miss Usion, right? This before the shelter in place were imposed, right? And I tell them the economy could be, obviously, it could be disarray. Huh?
Okay, that's better. I can hear you better now. So whatever you did was perfect. Yeah. So the economy in disarray.
Yeah, the economy, right? I predict that, obviously. That is the second.
Right.
End of February, right? And I gotta give props to the government, right? They were copacetic, excellent fresh rate, right? How to handle the situation, right? Because other parts of the region, we're not a proportion, believe me, right? And it was very inherently and existed in a central way, a manner. See? So start what we're talking about now. Get to the point now. The whole mainstream, right? What they're prevailing, what the current direction of movements, when the border open up, see, it go open up eventually. Yeah? We can't be out of civilization. You see, man? We open up. So, what was it? They got to incorporate into the mainstream. See? So, we got to know this monitor everything in power, right? Monitor everything carefully. Okay, man, we're so fortunate. I don't know if you're close to the equator, that make a difference. But we were fortunate, like, got the corona thing dangerous. And like I called Tuesday or Monday, I tell you it's a chronic, right? That's a long duration. That's sticking around. Yeah, you understand? So, all I say now, came on government, just monitor the stuff. Yeah, it's still down here now. People grill up people face like it gone. No, it's still here. In a couple of weeks ago, we talking about indoor ventilation with air conditioning and stuff. So,
yeah, man.
It's a lot of conspiracy theory towards it. But that's, like I said, the whole point we're calling today. We need to focus henceforth the future. And the herb thing, people like, as a taboo thing, they go around in the circles, then they free up. Being told that, And I think last year I talked to you about the 5G with the UK and China. Yeah, but that's still in a conundrum now, But Beijing, the communists obviously, and New World Order. So, go monitor everything, Sterling. Monitor everything.
Yeah, man.
And before I let you go now, you see next year now, when LA dissolves, we know what time it is. Before election. Respect, man.
Respect, man. Hey, thank you. Always enjoy listening and I learn from you. And respect for this. Take the other caller. Good afternoon. Thank you for sharing. Hello, good afternoon. Yeah, hello. How are you?
Yeah, good. I'm good. How are you this afternoon?
Very thankful, sir. Familiar voice with a message and a word to share with us. Good afternoon to you, man. And to our listeners, if you're having a little challenge, we recognize that there's increased usage across all the platforms. So it's not anything malicious, not deliberate, at least not on our part. And even today, I have to utilize a different avenue to access the highway, as it were. So call and share with us. If there is an issue, let us know, please, so that we can at least acknowledge it, hopefully address it, and then make corrective measures. It's open line, 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. God's willing, Ms. Katina Anglin may have a little time in the schedule to share some insight with us as well. That'll come up, after 1:30 for the remainder of the hour or so. But between now and then, call and share your thoughts with us. And we may have had a slight challenge with that last caller there, while waiting to figure out where we are and which rabbit hole we may have found ourselves. We have to share with you the caller before last, as he was on talking about the beach accesses and the potential reasoning and motivation behind it. And even to the caller before, we had a handful of people share their sentiments. One person, said that they see the cones, those are the barricades along the Westway Road as well, and like the callers, asking, well, who put them there? Who authorized them? And why are they there? One says, I agree with the last caller, and says probably just to stop, us from getting to the beach. Reads that the National Roads Authority needs to jump on this now, as well as the RCIPS, because that is the public roadway, and then public right to pull off. If you needed to be and have to park, near the beach if necessary. All right, some other sentiments that we will, in fact, share in reference to that same comment. But let's go to our phone, see if we can rejoin the caller. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Sterling.
Yeah. Yes, sir. For what it's worth, then, we're not sure what happened, but glad to have you back.
Yeah, sure. Call to share some thoughts today with regards to the domestic partnership bill, if that is in order today.
That's man.
Yeah.
You share with us.
Sure. Okay. The thought, first and foremost, is that as I see it, a vote for this or any such bill is a vote against righteousness. But having said that, I would hasten to say that, I have a great sense of love and tremendous compassion for the individuals who are wrestling with this. I also see that two wrongs cannot make one right.
Mm-hmm.
The first wrong, Sterling, that really jumps out at me, and it is that we, the people that call ourselves by His name, we, the people that call ourselves Christians, and you'll note that I'm saying we, I'm including myself. Sterling, we have failed, and we are failing miserably. Saying that we have failed and we are failing, what am I referring to? I think of Jesus Christ Himself giving us the Great Commission, Matthew 28 and 18, and Him saying, all authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. He said, go therefore and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, and teaching them to obey all I've commanded you. We turn to Matthew chapter 10, and in verse 1, it says, He called His disciples and he gave them authority. And this is having said in the Great Commission that all authority in heaven and on earth has been given to him. So now he calls disciples and he gave them authority to drive out evil spirits and to heal every disease and sickness. Not some of them, not the most mild, every disease and the sickness. We move down to verse 8 of the same Matthew 10, and indeed starting in verse 7, and it says, as you go, having said in the Great Commission, go, therefore. He's now saying, so that as you go, you declare that the kingdom is near. You heal the sick, and I could hear someone getting ready to question him, how sick, Lord? But he didn't wait for the question. He answered it in the very next breath. Raise the dead. If he's so sick that he died, he just died, then raise the dead. Cleanse the leper. Drive out evil spirits. How does this tie back to the issue at hand? Okay, we turn to the book of Romans. Romans chapter 1, 22 through 27. But in the interest of time, I'll drop in on verse 26. And it says, because of idolatry, he, God, gave them over to shameful lust. The King James Version says a reprobate mind. Goes on to say the result of being given over is that the women born with compassion for women and the men with compassion for men. In terms that we understand, this being given over, it then caused the men to see through the world through the eyes of a woman, and the woman see the world through the eyes of a man. So this is because of idolatry that they have been given over to this. And when I heard that, I said, okay, Lord, this is your word, I accept it, but I have a problem. I need you to tell me more. Most of the people involved that we have heard from indicate that I was born like this. I knew it from an early age. And my thoughts on that was and is, okay, we have reason to believe this because of some obvious things. We have reason to believe this. But how could that be? How could they be born like this? When did they commit this sin of idolatry then? Took me to Exodus 34, 6 and 7. It says, the Lord, the compassionate and gracious God, slow to anger, maintaining love and the faithfulness, maintaining love to thousands, forgiving wickedness, rebellion, and sin, yet not leaving the guilty unpunished. He punishes the children and their children to the third and fourth generation for the sin of the fathers. What we find then is we find young people now wrestling with something that they know nothing about. It's coming down from way back when, the forefathers, 3 and 4 generations ago. In most cases, I'm sure we don't even know the names, and if we know the names, that's all we know of our forefathers from 3 or 4 generations ago. There are those that would argue, no, there's no way. They're not born like this. But there's a significant difference, of course, between being created and being born. Genesis 1:27 tells us, of course, created in the image of God. He created them male and female. And we turn to Psalm 51:5, and it says, surely I was sinful at birth, sinful from the time my mother conceived me.
Respectful, as I listen to you, we got a break to take. So if you want to continue your point, maybe join us after the break, or without it being overly disrespectful, would you want to conclude now?
Okay.
Okay, so we pause and then just join you after the break. Yeah, I do appreciate the indulgence. All right, good break, and we'll take that when we come back. More talk.
Green Turtle, modern solutions to get you through the new normal. Download the Green Turtle app now and top up yours or a loved one's phone with any mobile carrier in any destination. Home delivery of laptops, tablets, phones, accessories, and iTunes and major online retailer gift cards. And now, home deliveries of groceries and courier service. Guaranteed delivery within 2 hours from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Visit their list of products at greenturtle.ky or download the Green Turtle app today. Green Turtle is not only the future of mobile, but today it can help save a life. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app, the future of mobile, saving lives today.
The Toyota-thon 2020 event is going on now at Vamped Motors. Get our lowest prices of the year on a great selection of our most popular Toyotas with big savings on the new CHR Hybrid, the 7-seater Rush, the adventurous RAV4, the rugged Hilux truck, and more. You can drive home an amazing deal. Save up to $5,000. Take the full discount, get cash back, upgrade your vehicle with your savings. It's all your choice during our huge Toyota-thon sales event going on through July. Don't miss out. Come to Vamped Motors for your new Toyota. Let's go places.
This is an important public service announcement. The Standards in Public Life Law has commenced, and all persons subject to the law are required to file a declaration of interest by 30th of July 2020. To determine if you are required under the law to make a submission, visit www.standardsinpubliclifecommission.ky. Again, the deadline for persons to submit their declaration of interest in accordance with the Standards in Public Life Law is the 30th of July 2020. Stop the spread of coronavirus by washing your hands with soap frequently. If none is available, use an alcohol-based hand sanitizer. Stay at home whenever you can. Avoid close contact with people outside your household by staying a minimum of 6 feet apart and wear a mask while in public. For more information, go to www.gov.ky/coronavirus.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thank you for joining us, and to the caller, thanks so much for not only sharing with us, but for being so amenable to allow us just to interject and take a few commercial breaks. Again, sir, respectfully, thank you for sharing with us. Good afternoon again.
Yeah, sure, Sterling. And I'll wrap it up. I know time is precious, so I'll wrap it up. I started out by saying, as I see it, we, the people that call ourselves by his name, have failed. And I feel, as far as that is concerned, because we have failed, Sterling, to provide deliverance through grace. What is happening now is that those oppressed and that are being oppressed are turning to the hope of seeking equality through legislation. But in the face of all of this, if we, the people that call ourselves by his name, had been performing as we are commissioned to perform, and he said, as you go, you heal the sick, you raise the dead, drive out evil spirits. What about the situation we're just coming through now? How would the COVID-19, how would that whole experience have looked if we were performing as we are commissioned to perform, healing the sick, raising the dead, functioning as we are commissioned to function? I'm going to leave you with that for today, Sterling.
Yeah, man. Thank you. And as you do, I'm reflecting on this. The scripture talks about, if my people, what to say, turn from the wicked, hear my, oh boy. But thank you very much for sharing with us, sir. Thank you again for that.
Okay, Sterling.
Blessings to you. Blessings to you. It is an opportunity to share with the listeners. 1-800-534-8255 or 949-8037. Let's go to your phones. Welcome. Good afternoon. How are you on Talk Today?
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
I am blessed. I would also say, listen to the caller last, reminded of the need, to seek forgiveness. Even, from one brother to the next, sometimes we should ask, if I have made any transgressions against you, would you extend an offer of forgiveness? So, humility before honor we should seek. How are you?
I am fine. I only got the very tail end of what he was saying about the commission that Christ put out to us. And I think he was alluding to the fact that the church has failed in that commission. And I say that only having heard, I think, less than probably a minute of what he was saying. But he is right in a greater degree, because the church has fallen off from its responsibilities in a great degree. And part of that is because the church itself has been infiltrated with ideologies and practices that has nothing to do with the Word of God. Bit by bit, we adopted thoughts and principles that is far out. And as a matter of fact, some of it is warned in Corinthians, and I think it's Titus also. Romans speaks about how to live as a Christian. It's a beautiful book, about, and Romans 6 is one of my favorite. And it speaks also about not being a slave to sin and so on. And yet the church got caught up in a lot of stuff it shouldn't have gotten caught up in. And then we got what we call it the watered down gospel that says, everything is all good. Your God is a God of love. It's okay if you live like that. You stepped away from critical teachings because you thought that some things belonged in the education system, not recognizing the role that we play as educators. But also I think that the Jude chapter, I always say Jude chapter, Jude doesn't have anything else but 25 verses. There's no Jude chapter, nothing. Jude verse 4 speaks about, those that have crept in unaware, turning the grace of a God into lasciviousness and denying the only Lord God and our Lord Jesus Christ, And it also speaks that we would have a form of godliness, you see. So we have some stuff in our ministry that is not adherent to the Word of God. And we have failed socially on a lot of platforms. And even when I think maybe he may have, well, not be judgmental, but if we look at what I was about to say, if I finished it, then we look at the issues that we face in our society today. If the church had played a greater educational role, where would we be? We'd be much, much better off. But since we're talking about education, right? Let me read to you something that has come to my attention. It was sent to me by a parent. the summer program at Bethany Primary School. And it came from the principal. And she says, and it's highlighted and underlined. And so, there's a lot of emphasis put on the disappointment she's about to announce. And that is that the proposed summer school for the year 6 students will not take place due to the poor response and lack of interest from parents. And there are two things that I want to speak about in this correspondence. The parental responsibility and awareness. But I also want to speak about the decision by the Department of Education Services, right? 8 parents responded to the email according to the principal's correspondence here. 8 parents, so at least 8 students responded to the email regarding having their child participate in the summer school program. I don't know how anybody else feels about that, but I think we exceeded the number of students necessary to run a program for year 6 students. I think year 6 is the last year in primary school before going on to junior high. Now, could more parents have responded? I'm sure that they could have, and I'm not sure exactly why they didn't. There was a whole lot of stuff that was going on at the time of this email being sent out. I happen to know, as what I regard to be a functioning individual, the number of deadlines that I missed because of trying to keep up with the needs of the community during this COVID-19 pandemic. The processing of paperwork, delivering of food, going to the supermarket, picking people up. There were so many things to be done. And I wasn't the only person in the community who was doing stuff like this, right? Mm-hmm. But then a lot of parents also got overwhelmed. I heard a lot of parents say, listen, I love my children, but can somebody please take them from me? Because all of a sudden they were not at work and their children were not in school. And for eons, teachers did the teaching, parents went to work, they came back home, they oversaw a little bit of the homework while cooking dinner and that sort of stuff, right? All of a sudden, there was this polar change to their daily function. Now, not responding to the email doesn't mean that they didn't care. But what if they had realizing that, oh my goodness, I missed the email? What happened after that? Was there any opportunity for them after that to resubmit and say, I missed the deadline? Why didn't, and another question is this, why didn't the Department of Education Services find 8 of our students worthwhile to run a program, an education program for the summer, considering how disrupted that the whole entire education system was and how difficult it was in a way for students. A lot of students didn't have laptops at home. Mm-hmm. And they suffered great disruption. Now you have 8 students whose parents said, listen, I want my child in the summer program. I want the best for my child. I want my child to have as much opportunity as they can to catch up and to learn to be the best that they can academically. How do you decide that 8 children aren't worth running the program? I don't get that.
No, with that in mind, right, let's just pause quickly, take the break, and then come back and continue that, and then you can pick up the whole notion of that thing. All right, for those who are listening, stay tuned for Talk Today.
We are here for you. Whether you are in extreme financial need, have lost your job, have been directly or indirectly affected by the pandemic, we are here. The Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan is here to assist through the Cayman Islands Government Emergency Withdrawal Program. To withdraw, visit chamberpension.ky and complete the online application form by filling in your personal details, the amount you wish to withdraw, and upload a notarized government ID such as your passport or driver's license. For information as it happens, pensions, visit chamberpension.ky or follow our social media pages on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram. Email admin@pensions.ky or call 745-7630. We thank you for your patience as we address the high volume of email and phone queries. The Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. You can count on us.
Are you having financial difficulties? Are you unable to pay your water bills because of the coronavirus pandemic? The Water Authority wants to help. Contact a customer service rep today to arrange a payment agreement. Get in touch by emailing info@waterauthority.ky or call 94-WATER. That's 949-2837.
At Cayman National, we care about public health, ours and yours. We ask you to please wear a mask when visiting our locations, as we look forward to serving you in a safer environment. Remember, we're in this together, and it will take all of our help to make the Cayman community healthy again. Thank you for making Cayman National your bank of choice.
Mommy, have you been taking your medication?
No, I think I forgot to pick it up.
Your doctor prescribed it for a reason, so you should be taking it regularly.
I know, TD. Thanks for the reminder.
If you are elderly or vulnerable and need your prescription delivered to your home, contact the Health Services Authority Pharmacy at 949-8600. Taking your medication when prescribed is important to your health, and your health matters to us. For more information about our pharmacy hours and locations, visit hsa.ky or call 949-8600.
Here is a special public service announcement and reminder from the Justice of the Peace Association. JP services for the public in the Government Administration Building are provided on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 9 a.m. to noon in a designated space adjacent to the reception area in GAB. Please look for the designated signage and directions, and also remember to have all documents and identification needed for your transactions. Every precautionary measure has been taken to ensure the public's safety, and members of the public should adhere to the rules and regulations. Please be aware of the following. The kiosk has been fitted with a plexiglass partition. Hand sanitizer will be available. No one can enter the GAB without a mask. Sanitization of the area will be carried out between clients. You must practice social distancing while waiting in line for service. The Justice of the Peace Association, serving the community with humility and integrity.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. It's open line. Remember, press briefing is scheduled a little bit later. We can take it to you live. You can also watch it as you listen to us here. You can watch it on CIG TV. Let's go back to the phones, though. Hey, thanks very much again for sharing with us your perspective.
Thank you, Dwayne.
Right. I mean, as you were sharing, the notion that 8 students are still 8 students. I mean, even if it was 1, some would say 1 is still enough. Share as you were, as you wish.
Okay. So, thank you. Some of the words that was used to describe the Department of Education Services' view on this was that it was impractical and unrealistic to run an effective and comprehensive program at such low numbers. But yet, isn't that what we pay for when we pay for tutorship? Are we paying for one-on-one so that there's the opportunity to break concepts down and to spend more time the challenged individual? And challenge doesn't mean mental or physical or handicap. I'm talking about challenged with a concept or a theory at the time. To break this down and so that there's a better grasp on the issue and an understanding of the overall topic. So in actual fact, the Department of Education Services had a great opportunity to bring out the best in these 8 students. But they refer to it as impractical and unrealistic, and they didn't grasp the opportunity to bring about an effective and comprehensive outcome based on the low numbers they would have had in that group. Now, if they had valued one of or all of those 8 students, we could look at those 8 students and we could say, you know, compared to other group sizes and so on, the outcome of this class with 8 students was this. It was a wonderful learning opportunity for everybody, right? And I think it especially irked me as well personally because of how far small opportunities, which were great in size, ultimately provided for me to accomplish what I have accomplished in life. When I started UCCI, the Legal Support and Administration course, I wasn't able to afford the course. And I was, Mr. Roy Bodden, he sponsored my first semester. And that gave me the opportunity to get more funding, and that was done through the Business and Professional Women's Club. They sponsored the remainder of my course. I graduated from that class at top of the class, but if Mr. Roy Bodden hadn't assisted me in the first instance, I wouldn't have gotten through that course. I wouldn't have received the highest achiever award. There were other persons who attended as well who did not have the financial support that I had. They dropped out of class because they couldn't afford it. But these are persons who, as far as they were able to pay their way through, they were doing remarkably well as well, right? And so to read this today, that you looked at a human being, you looked at a child, you looked at a group of children who have already been negatively affected academically, and you've placed a price tag on the value of their achievement, on the value of their potential, and you have called it unrealistic and impractical. And I find that especially offensive. And I just wanted to share that today because it really hurt me and frustrated me. And in speaking with one of the parents, you know, to hear how set back that they feel, that their children feel, and how angered that they are with the system, that their children weren't considered worthy enough to be allowed to catch up. You know?
If I can then maybe ask of you, generally speaking, for this program specifically, or even generally for there's other schools, is this summer school program one that is being offered for those children that may have either A, perhaps not got it, insufficient schooling because of the closures, or B, maybe given an opportunity for extra sort of instruction, nourishment, enrichment, I think is what educators refer to it. Was this something that was just to help them just in case, or was it something that was highly desirable because of potential lost time, or was it to provide, like you said, we can get more one-on-one, perhaps a less stressful sort of academic setting, because it's the summer, where they can sharpen their skills, maybe get a little bit more comfortable and knowledgeable about a particular topic. Do you know what the criteria was in respect to whether a summer program was going to be offered and the impetus for doing so?
I don't have all of those details, but it was a summer school program with the view of helping children to progress. I come to understand, at least to the superficial level, that it was to help to make up for the disruption because of COVID-19. And then I did see the email that was, not the email, the petition that was going around recently. And apparently it was written by students. And these students are trying not to get this extra time added onto their day. And in my conversation with, I have 5 grand nieces and nephews that live very close to me. And they're really awesome. I don't need to get any more children. I can just I can just call Pop personality. Hey, can you come hang over with Auntie today? Depending on how I'm feeling, who do I want to see? But they're really great kids, honestly. Darius, he's just on top of things, you know. He's so organized and hands-on with everything. So, but anyway, so that caused me to lose my train of thought, honestly. I got caught up with my own children and lost my train of thought. But, you know, looking at the disruption to the education system and process that happened as a result of COVID-19, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I throw my thought back. I'll go back there instead. the students and their opinions about the additional time onto their day.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, they're like, I don't want to spend 2 extra hours at school. I have enough to put up with at school during the day.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't want to get stuck with people who don't like me and who I don't like for an extra 2 hours for the day.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't been to school in months. Why don't you just let me do summer school instead and just get it done and get it out of the way, you know? And that's a really logical approach to take to it.
Yeah.
Now, agreed, we're kind of running out of time to get them back in school to make up for that. But,
yeah, we also got a news break coming up as well, too. So.
Sorry?
We also got a news break coming up in a couple of seconds, too, probably.
Oh, yeah. That's the time, isn't it? Okay. Yeah, thank you.
But as I listen to you, though, it's a logical approach, I agree. But from a student's perspective, potentially from a parent's perspective, and even if you look at it from a teacher's perspective, are we truly accounting for the school day? For some of us, we may say it's 8 till 3, 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. You know?
Mm-hmm.
But is it really that, let's say the child is up at 5 or 6 or 7 in the morning, gets to school at 7 or 8 or 8:30, whatever the time is, does the normal school stuff till 2 or 3 or 4, depending on what day. Then there are after-school activities, whether at the physical campus or whether it's in some other environment. That may go to 5 or 6 or even 7, you know, when the child gets home, and then maybe homework. So conceivably, some children could easily have 12, 14, 16 hours a day of quote-unquote school or school-related activities. You know, they may not all be seated in a chair, you know, probably uncomfortably, in a classroom, looking at, well, whatever color the board is these days in whatever environment. But I want to ask that question, is that do we now take this opportune time as we're redefining education to consider what the educational day and instruction day is like, as well as the impact on the teacher, the parent, and the student? So, Ms. Katina, our news is ready.
Yes.
Do you want to continue maybe engaging our listeners with your train of thought after the news?
That'd be great.
Okay. Well, thank you. With that, our 2 p.m. headlines is ready. So let's go hear what's being said.
Your 2 p.m. headlines brought to you by greenturtle.ky. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app, the future of mobile, saving lives today.
Today's biggest news.
Radio K-Man.
It's only 2 species that we have here on Island.
Generations present.
Your voice, your choice.
It is in the best interest of the people of these islands.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio K-Man's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. The National Gallery of the Cayman Islands Summer of Art program invites kids and families to join the 3-part program, consisting of virtual art classes, a cine-club, and once the gallery reopens, tours. The free program runs throughout July until the end of August. And if you'd like to sign up for the Summer of Art Zoom classes, email education@nationalgallery.org.ky. In international news, the FBI has launched an investigation after hackers hijacked Twitter accounts of a number of high-profile U.S. figures in an apparent Bitcoin scam. Elon Musk, Bill Gates, and Joe Biden were among those hit in what Twitter said was a coordinated attack. TikTok says it has deleted about 29,000 coronavirus-related videos that broke its rules in Europe alone since the beginning of 2020. The video sharing app says it does not allow misinformation that could harm an individual's health or public safety. It said about 3,000 of them contained medical misinformation and described the numbers as low level. Scientists have designed a tiny camera which can be attached to a beetle's back. Weighing just 250 milligrams, it is operated wirelessly via Bluetooth and can capture grainy footage at a rate of up to 5 frames per second. Shyam Galakata, senior author of the research, however, acknowledged that tiny camera robots could introduce new surveillance concerns. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
Green Turtle, modern solutions to get you through the new normal. Download the Green Turtle app now and top up yours or a loved one's phone with any mobile carrier in any destination. Home delivery of laptops, tablets, phones, accessories, and iTunes and major online retailer gift cards. And now, home deliveries of groceries and courier service. Guaranteed delivery within 2 hours from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Visit their list of products at greenturtle.ky or download the Green Turtle app today. Green Turtle is not only the future of mobile, but today it can help save a life. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app. The future of mobile, saving lives today.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
Your voice, your choice, your radio.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thanks for joining us. And thanks for Ms. Katina Anglin for not only sharing, a personal perspective, but continue championing the public good and inviting the society to look very closely at what we do and how it impacts others. Ms. Katina, I'm hearing that we have a caller join us as well. So let's and keep the phone lines open and invite the caller. Good afternoon and welcome.
Good afternoon. This is Bishop Sykes here.
Bishop Sykes, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Bishop.
Good afternoon, my media partner, and Dwayne. Nice to be with you again. I'm here really at the suggestion of your guest.
Okay. As you're chatting,
I
for my
wanted
benefit
to
only, struggling to hear you.
Try to alert the public to the session of Parliament, which is to take place beginning on Monday week. Some very serious things are going to happen or are going to be discussed, and it is, I think, my duty to ask the public to make sure that our representatives are acting in accordance with our will as a responsible society. And where there is something that is not understood, or the implications of which are not fully recognized or understood by us, we must at the very least ask them to slow down and to give us explanations along the way. We do not want anything to happen in a hurried way that is harmful to the children and their children in the days to come in our community. It's very important for us to recognize that we live in a democratic society. At least we aspire to do so. And we have the tools to enable this to happen if we use them properly. And if we do not sleepwalk into a situation that we find that we did not want and that is harmful in the long term. I think I'm just going to leave it at that. as a sort of serious warning to people to pay attention during next week to the preparations that may be being made for the parliamentary session that is to take place beginning, I believe, on the 27th, around about that time.
If I may ask of you, I mean, as I listen to you, the government has brought a bill, presumably because it's of the view that it's legislation that needs to be considered. It seemingly has the number of votes to pass whatever legislation it wants. Is this now just a fait accompli? It's a done deal. So why, from your perspective now, should the public engage if the members are being required, presumably, to vote as the government wants it to vote? So therefore, the legislation will go the way the government wants it to go.
Well, there's in the Westminster system, we have the opportunity of holding people accountable at general elections, basically.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that there is a reliable count as to what people will vote for on a controversial bill. And it may be that here it is necessary for the representatives, for the MLAs, to be very, very careful and to vote according to conscience. Now, I have no idea whether the government are calling a whip or whether this is a free vote. And that is... Yes, go ahead.
No, sorry, thank you. I was saying, I mean, as you mentioned, the reference to Westminster system, there is the party whip that may say, again, as you said, we don't know the government's perspective, hasn't said anything.
They may not insist on it.
Yeah.
And that is obviously an important consideration and something that I think should perhaps be announced next week.
Right.
So
but if I may then ask, then, in the midst of all the globe, as well as this country, or this territory, or this jurisdiction, or this rock, or whatever they want to term it, is facing financial and social. If the government didn't believe that this legislation was so important, why bring it now at this time, a year from election? So that may be political win or suicide, depends on the side of the coin you dance on. But if it's not of value, why why bring it now?
Well, there are political and judicial pressures being brought upon the Legislative Assembly, and that is, of course, in itself an issue to be thought about, whether that is proper in a democratic society with the system that we have. And I suggest that that is a very serious issue in itself. It is clear, as you have quite rightly said, that there is that this is being brought about because of at this particular time, because of external to the legislature, I should say, pressure. Many people in the Legislative Assembly, whatever they may be voting, probably don't want this bill at this particular time, and in fact would prefer it to be perhaps made into an issue for the voting public at the time of the general election. That is probably the view of quite a number of them.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Well, I know you did say you didn't want to engage in further in respect, that as well. But if there's a closing thought you may want to leave with us, please do.
Well, thank you very much. I just would like to close by asking people to pray for the future of such future as the Lord allows to us all, because the whole world is in absolute turmoil at the moment, and we do not know how long it will last. But we do want to ensure that if God is good to give us children and grandchildren, they will not curse the day that we did not act to secure their interests.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, thank you, sir. God bless, and have a good weekend.
Thank you very much. God bless you.
Okay, God bless.
Thank you, Bishop.
All right.
God bless. Bye.
Take care, sir.
God bless you.
You wish to read, Mom, and if you choose.
Sorry, Dwayne, I can barely hear you.
Yeah, likewise. I don't know, man. We'll get it. Are you hearing me better now?
Of course you will. Of course you will.
Yeah.
And yeah, there you are.
There you are now.
See, like the guy in the Verizon commercial.
Is that what it is?
Can you hear me now? but you know, it seems also that there's only one focus that's being taken for persons who are advocating for the change in the law, right? And the one thing that they keep hammering away on is all those old Christians and their beliefs, right? Mm-hmm. And the other thing that they put in there is, you know, that they were born gay and God made them that way.
Okay.
But that's not true, because God doesn't cause you to not have a choice in a behavior at all that is existent, and certainly that you have no choice when it comes down to temptation. Because the things that we do in a given moment, we make decisions about whether or not we're going to do. And, you know, temptation abounds from the left and from the right about all these different things, and even the choice of how we handle ourselves and our body when it comes down to sexual behaviors, fulfilling sexual desires and fantasies, right? Mm-hmm. And one thing I would like for anybody who is advocating that, oh, well, God made them that way. Mm-hmm. God made us all with free will. Choice to do or to not do something. And we can do all things through the strength of Jesus Christ. So if there's something that you don't want to do, you're able not to do that because of the strength that exists in you when you submit your will to Jesus.
Amen.
Right?
Yeah. Well, let's continue. We have another caller. Maybe it's a good opportunity to interject. Let's go to the caller. Good afternoon. Welcome. Thank you for calling. Hello. Good afternoon.
Hello.
How are you today?
I am well. I'm just saying hi to my friends.
Miss Katina, that's for you.
I think she left us with a choice to absorb that each one individually because she loves us both.
Bye to my friends.
Hi, my friend.
Hi. Thank you. You know, but as a caller, you know, for those who listen intently will get, you know, always share. I thank the caller for our thoughts. But as Bishop Sykes were earlier saying, though, well, actually, let me hang on and let's take the other caller. Good afternoon and welcome. Thank you for calling. Welcome. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Sterling.
Yes, sir. How are you?
Yeah, I didn't know if I was on or not. And good afternoon to Miss Tina there also.
Good afternoon,
sir. Good to hear Bishop Sykes come on and offer his perspective also. Wonderful person. I have to say, you know, people have got to understand that this whole thing, it comes about because of our situation as a colony. Why this has to be done at some point in time. We had notice of this. This is not something that just came about now. We knew something had to be done. What we have to understand when we keep talking about obeying European Union commitments to human rights or so on, the European Union was always a very strict and conservative Christian type of society for many, many centuries. We know all about the wars of the Crusades, and we know all about those things. We read about in school, and we're taught. So we know all about that, the many big, beautiful cathedrals built all over. And you have to understand, even the Islamic and Muslim world also are against these types of things. I'm not talking about the right and the wrongness of it. Understand me quite clearly. This is all about a situation that comes about because of differences in the society in the last, say, 60 years in Europe, or it's less than that. In particular, they had a devastation after World War II and so forth. They're devastated. The United States had to build them back. That's for another thought, and we all should have been taught these things in school. Very important, the Marshall Plan and so forth. They have focused their energies and monies on different things, social things and arts and stuff that encompasses all this. And they knew that their military, they would take away that focus of money spent on the military. They knew America, let us be factual and truthful, frank, would protect them and has done all these years since after the war. We saw that. We know that. And therefore, we are under no pressure from the United States to do this. Let us be truthful. We are under pressure from that. Britain has quite rightly, in my opinion, and many other people, got out of the European Union yoke. And so we still have this commitment to Great Britain as a colony. They gave us a certain time and they said they would not push us into certain things. But we realize the penalties that may come about, punitive, monetary, and so forth. And we are a British colony, crown territory, whatever. At some time, we would have to come to this, to deal with this matter. We were told this, whether we want to or not.
Yeah. Appreciate the sentiments, sir, and respectful acts that we just allowed the final break at this point. Ms. Coutinho, maybe if you have, we can take some closing thoughts and consider some of the points as well.
Yeah.
All right, stay tuned for Talk Today.
Green Turtle, modern solutions to get you through the new normal. Download the Green Turtle app now and top up yours or a loved one's phone with any mobile carrier in any destination. Home delivery of laptops, tablets, phones, accessories, and iTunes and major online retailer gift cards. And now, home deliveries of groceries and courier service. Guaranteed delivery within 2 hours from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Visit their list of products at greenturtle.ky or download the Green Turtle app today. Green Turtle is not only the future of mobile, but today it can help save a life. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app, the future of mobile, saving lives today.
Mommy, have you been taking your medication?
No, I think I forgot to pick it up.
Your doctor prescribed it for a reason, so you should be taking it regularly.
I know, TD. Thanks for the reminder.
If you are elderly or vulnerable and need your prescription delivered to your home, contact the Health Services Authority Pharmacy at 949-8600. Taking your medication when prescribed is important to your health, and your health matters to us. For more information about our pharmacy hours and locations, visit hsa.ky or call 949-8600.
Headlines.
With the latest headlines.
One of Cayman's bright and shining young stars.
Local, regional, international.
Headlines.
Turning to international news. Updates on the hour between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. on weekdays. All the news when you want it. Tune in to Radio Cayman for hourly headlines of the day's top stories.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us. It is open line, but we have the excellent company of Ms. Coutinho Anglin sharing some of her afternoon with us. So thanks very much, Ms. Coutinho. And I know that we're on the eve of sort of the weekend as the Friday draws to close. Any comments you want to maybe share in relation to the last couple of callers? If not, there's maybe something I want to pick up on following what Bishop Sykes sort of put on the table.
Well, Regarding Bishop Sykes' input, Bishop Sykes is a man of incredible parliamentary, judicial, and spiritual understanding and knowledge, right? He's a very, very wise man, and he's a man that I look up to and I admire, and who inspires me. And one of the concerns that he mentioned in there was, trying to get our thoughts across because of this soon onset of the legislative debate on this topic. I am mindful of this, that the legislators should not be debating this simply because of the lack of public consultation. They are gathering their pieces together now to see how it is that they can plan public meetings, how they can gather input, how they can reach out to their constituents. Because of COVID-19, a bill of this magnitude to be debated in the House without proper public consultation would be totally undemocratic. There's no way that a legislative representative can go in there and clearly say, I have engaged in proper public consultation regarding this bill and be speaking the truth. Regarding what the last caller said about being a crown colony, there is great truth in that. And maybe it's time that we as a country began to have the discussion about where do we want to go in our own futures regarding independence. At some point, my mother took me off her breath. At some point, as an adult, as an individual, I decided I was going to act as an adult. And I think it's perhaps beyond time that we had the discussion about our political future, our legislative future, our parliamentary future, the future of this country and our governance. But I don't think that we should ever, for one single moment, ever be dissuaded from embarking on and grasping our own legislative and political power as individuals and as registered voters to drive this country in a direction that we so think is the best direction for it to go. Now, that is mindful also that the legislative representative can poll his constituent and then make a decision separate from that. But at least let us have a democratic approach to the discussion of this bill. This is a very monumental bill, and it's also because it is discussing something that is prohibited by our Constitution. It is a constitutionally significant bill. So I don't even entertain the engagement of discussing this. I don't even entertain the notion of discussing this bill, debating this bill, before we have other discussions about the constitutional impact of this bill.
As I listen to what you shared and I reflect on what Bishop Sykes sort of relayed, there are a few things that come to mind, and the notion that public consultation with any bills or with anything coming before the Legislative Assembly is paramount to democracy and for at least the opportunity for those in the electorate who want to look at something to know about it. Now, something that you highlighted, and I do recognize I saw it, but it was just in passing, that with this particular publication of this bill, there was no emphasis that, hey, the deadline for public input is this date, as we've always seen with almost everything else. Whether that was deliberate, whether it was just an oversight, we can be the judge as our perspectives lead us. But Bishop Sykes' point that this may be something that is being pressured politically and judicially from outside, and as he said, it may be something that the parliamentarians themselves may not necessarily want to deal with now or in this way. The question is very obvious. What else has our legislators, whether in this particular cycle or in the past, that they've had to deal with? Financial legislation, development and planning legislation, or policy considerations or regulations or other sort of similar issues. Are there external forces, whether we call them special interests or other, that have such a significant sway that they can so influence our laws or policies or political, economic and social landscape that the voters who seemingly are the ones who elect the people really are not even second or third or in the race at all. I mean, is that a... Well, what are your thoughts?
The elected representative needs to hear from its electorate to be able to gauge the temperature of the topic, right? They welcome input. And it is our responsibility as citizens to share our thoughts on any matter in this country with our elected representatives. Because, Dwayne, you have a job. There's somebody who oversees your work. They grade you on it. You've managed to cap it because you've done a really good job at it, all right? But it didn't give you that job and leave you alone, expect you to figure everything out all on your own. And this is where we as a people have gone wrong for so long. You go every 4 years, you make this single X, and then we expect for 19 representatives to read the minds of 60,000 people in this country, more than that, but anyway, 60,000 people in this country, out of which there is some 20-something registered voters. Is that fair to them? That is not fair to them. How are they going to know how you feel and how I feel? They can only know that if we engage them. We have that responsibility to advise them about how we feel or how we view a particular topic. Now, in that, when you look at the people themselves is a special interest group, right? But then you have these little fragments that come together as a collective, and they push or lobby for what they want to see happen, and they do so effectively. And the legislative can at times fall susceptible to the impressions and to the pressure of special interest groups unless there is something else that balances that pressure out, and that is the input from us as regular citizens. Now, as far about the judicial pressure is concerned, the court is very, very mindful. It knows exactly what its limits are. If you read the declaration that was issued by the court, yes, it was strongly worded, but the Court of Appeals happens to know that they do not have the power to tell the Legislative Assembly to go make or amend laws, because that lawmaking power resides across the street in the Legislative Assembly. You cannot tell them when they are going to discuss anything, and for a politician to come and tell anybody in the public that a court told him to do something, unless they were telling him a fine because he got caught smoking cigarettes on the sidewalk where he wasn't supposed to. That is different, but not about when it comes down to lawmaking authority. That is a parliamentary function alone. Yep. The political pressure. Westminster Parliament can change its mind at any time and say, yeah, we're actually going to enforce this law into the rest of the overseas territories. But they would have acted in bad faith. That would not be very democratic in this day and time. All right? But there is another political pressure, and it's called LGBT. It is a very organized political group that is now into some of every level of government, and is bombarding to the media with their thoughts and ideologies, trying to change the way that every individual thinks towards topics to drive it the way that they want to go. Yes, there are pressures, and we the people are the balancing weight on the scale to drive the country in the direction that we feel that it should go. We are the greatest pressure. And I want to encourage people to take up your responsibility. Don't leave it with the politicians. Don't leave it with the pastors. You have a mouth. Most people have a cell phone. Then people can text. They can call. You go check your politician because you want $25, or you want your telephone bill paid, or you want go talk to them and tell them how you feel about the domestic partnership bill. And if you don't understand it very well, go ask them about the domestic partnership bill. And if you can't get through to them, you can always call me. I can talk to you about the domestic partnership bill, which is same-sex marriage dressed up in the form of another form.
Yeah, they put on the Sunday best as opposed to the, as someone would say, the but anyway, Ms. Katina, thank you for your not just candid, eloquent approach, but despite it all, an attempt to engage. So thanks very much, all right?
You're most welcome. Have a great day, Dwayne. I'll get the rest of that information about the education topic. So.
Yeah, man.
And call back on Monday a bit more.
Perfect.
All right?
Perfect. Have a great
Thank
weekend.
You
and
too.
enjoy the rain.
You too. Thank
and
you.
enjoy that mango jam.
Yeah, look here. You better come get this bottle of mango jello. I got my mango jam. I got this weekend.
No, you didn't. You were me. Okay. Thank you. All right, to our listeners, thank you very much for engaging us. If there's always something that is said that you agree or don't agree with, please feel free to engage us. If you find something shared in a way that you think could be improved upon, let us know. If there's something that we're not addressing, let us know equally. It's a free democratic society. Not mean it's not costly, not only the freedoms, but for what it's worth, I'm grateful to Ms. Norma Smollett for giving me a couple of days off. So God's willing, next Monday, next Tuesday, and next Wednesday, I'm going to be on a, as I call it, special assignment. So I won't be hosting next Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Ray will be there. Got a couple of things I want to do, and God's willing, I'll be back on Thursday and Friday. Some interesting discussions scheduled for then. But between now and then, enjoy yourselves, be a part of what goes on. Join me start on Monday for the record. Come back for Talk Today. Ray will, take it away for you. There is the briefing scheduled for 3 o'clock this afternoon, so hopefully you get a chance to stay tuned to Radio Command and tune in. Thanks again, as Ms. Katina said to Ms. Susan, for putting up with us. To all of our listeners, get involved and informed with what your legislators are doing or what you think they should be doing, and give them, your input, whether you're for or against or unsure on any and everything that's before the House. The PSC meetings that were aired were enlightening for some. Well, with that said, have a very blessed and safe, productive weekend. See you on Thursday, God's willing. Be blessed.
Talk Today is brought to you by Fidelity Bank. For all your banking needs, visit fidelitygroup.com. Fidelity, we're good for you.
Also brought to you by greenturtle.ky. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app. The future of mobile. Saving lives today.
Let Cora keep my ground so clean.
The heart and soul of the Cayman people. Thank you for keeping the culture alive.
Let's read the news every day. From East End to Georgetown, down into West Bay.
Radio Cayman